snowfall we've had in over 25 years.
In Virginia, state police responded to over 430 crashes, and a power outage led to a boil water advisory in Richmond. The National Weather Service forecasts that Florida will see a freeze, and from Texas across the Gulf Coast, temperatures will be in the teens and low 20s. The service is also warning of destructive red flag wind conditions in Southern California, with gusts up to 100 miles an hour and a critical risk of wildfires. On Wednesday, another low-pressure system is forecast to bring snow to parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. I'm Jennifer King.
Shots were fired at the Honduran consulate just outside Atlanta. One person is dead. A suspect is in custody. Emily Heenan is a city spokesperson.
A large number of witnesses, I believe the rough estimate I was given was about 50 witnesses. The Doral police are making their way through everyone, talking to them, getting their story, getting what they saw, and trying to piece together all the events.
Mexico's Foreign Affairs Secretary says the person who was killed was a Mexican citizen who worked as a security guard at the Honduran consulate. This is AP News. JAMA Pediatrics published the most reliable estimate yet of the number of young people who receive gender-affirming medications.
Researchers analyzed a large database of insurance claims covering more than 5 million patients ages 8 to 17. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 received gender-affirming medications during the 5 years from 2018 to 2022. With lawmakers debating issues around health care for transgender youth, it's been difficult to determine a precise number, leaving room for exaggerated and false claims. At least 26 states have adopted laws restricting or banning gender-affirming medical care for transgender minors. The practices are now being weighed by the Supreme Court. I'm Ben Thomas.
At least 9 workers are trapped inside a coal mine in India's northeastern Assam state. The Indian Army is helping with the rescue operation. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see partial sunshine developing here for today with a high into the mid-20s, winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low near 14. Wednesday, partial sunshine develops a high around 22 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and a high around 25. By Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow showers here, cloudy skies, high of 26. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 18.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives, and welcome to the January 7th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. Call us at 773-763-9278. You can also text us there, and you can catch us at Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, Twitter Stream, and iHeartRadio. Of course, as always, email me at richard@wcpt820.com, and I will respond, hopefully in good time. I got an email to read you guys in a little bit. And also catch all of our shows, as usual, by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, short version and long version. Of course, Joan Esposito live, local and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and Out Chicago, as well as our other shows and interviews. Most definitely check out our share spot, which we'll refer to as... also known as Heartland Digital, Heartland Signal Digital Can't say that this morning. Our digital platform. So go to heartlandsignal.com, guys, and get the good stuff that you want to share with your pals and friends and all that kind of fun stuff. So here we are, guys. It's the day after January 6th, 2025, and January 6th represents a tradition, a historical and constitutional requirement by our country. And as House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said over the weekend, it does not represent individuals who decide they're going to try to overthrow the government and or take the calling of a dictatorial, traitorous, twice impeached, 34-time convicted felon, 2-time adjudicated rapist, stealer of documents, caller of begging for votes, former, now reelected dude to the White House. Okay? That January 6th does not. January 6th represents what happened yesterday, post an election, a national election, not what happened 4 years ago. And it's a significant and stark difference to what our country is supposed to represent or says it's supposed to represent. And I'm proud to see that, our side did the thing that it's supposed to do, which is make sure that there's a smooth transition or the starting of a smooth transition, if you will, from one elected group to the other. And because of that, we didn't have any drama yesterday that was that resulted in people breaking windows, people knocking over government items, defecating on government property, and the list goes on. But the beauty of it is that our side did the thing that we're supposed to do, and that is to move the country forward in a way that is respectful, or at least representing respectfulness. And I'm glad to see that happened. I heard the comment that because Democrats are weak, that Trump got away with all that he did, and I don't fully agree with that. I understand that Democrats can stout up a little bit. That's not there's no new news there, but that's not the reason that Democrats. That's not the reason that Trump got quote unquote reelected. What the bottom line reason is an indirect but direct connection to what did happen yesterday during some of the proceedings as it relates to this transition of power, transition of government. And oh, by the way, I can't wait to talk about something that President Biden did that's got 34X CF triggered. But the reason, the connective tissue as to why this election, and I'm talking about the national part of it in terms of Senate, House, and of course presidency, really went the way that it went, is because people allowed themselves to believe, or they told folks that this election was about the price of things, and that certain groups of people didn't get talked to, et cetera, et cetera. We know the conversation. And it really wasn't about that. It wasn't about Dems didn't talk to enough, folks that are the diner folks in America. Maybe the message should have been even broader, if anything, to, like I said yesterday, reach all people and not going after or messaging to microgroups is important, but a broader based message. All of those things could be that's got to be part of the lesson learned, as would be the case with any time you don't win something. I'm down with that. I get that. And we have to do that to change, to go forward and win and take back the things that we did not secure this time around. But when it comes to what happened and what took place right before the election, during right before the election date in 2020 and what took place leading up to January 6th. All those items are the reasons that, some people want to say the Democrats are weak, and I don't agree with that. It's in its entirety. There needs to be some sharpening of the tools, absolutely. Sledgehammers brought, absolutely, and I mean that in the best of ways. But I'm teasing this for a reason, because the reason ultimately that Vice President Harris didn't get elected as this next presidency is because of this country's inherent bias and biases. That's the reason why. And one of the better examples, I won't say best because that's maybe conclusive. One of the better examples did take place. And although there weren't any folks breaking in and tearing up and all those other things that happened on January 6th in 2021, what did happen yesterday that shows the ugliness of the country, and certainly represented by specific people, is the husband of Senator Deb Fischer from Nebraska. That's, to me, what he did or did not do, depending on, what tense you want to go in speaking to this. What happened there was the example that people in America and people throughout the world need to see about who our country has always been and hasn't changed except for these micro movements. And all the folks that tried to excuse it have lost their damn minds. What he did yesterday by refusing to shake the hand of Kamala Harris when his wife was being sworn in as a senator from the state of Nebraska is an example forward, right in your face, of the racism, sexism, bias, elitism, and all the other isms that we could throw out about what's wrong with our country. And I'm saying this as a citizen first that understands, even in the worst of scenarios, and this is something that my wife reminded me of, you show decorum, you show respect for another person, irrespective of the title that they have, you show respect. So she reminded me of that. So I have to give her kudos there. And then from there, I get to throw on my logs, which are racism, sexism, elitism, privilege, and the whole list of isms. And I want to hear from you guys on that. I want to hear how you guys responded to this, how you saw this, how it made you feel, and what it made you think. The husband of Senator Deb Fischer from Nebraska refused to shake the hand of the Vice President of the United States of America. And it ain't like he has not been here before. 4 years ago, he shook Mike Pence's hand and joked around. He shook Joe Biden's hand in, previous years. So it's not like he doesn't know what's supposed to happen. And I understand that people want to throw out, well, he had a cane in his hand, and there's all kinds of ways to acknowledge somebody. He didn't even look at her, Devin. He glanced over like you got cooties or something. It was childish. It was, and here's the other part too. He disrespected two women. That's how I'm seeing it. He disrespected two women. He disrespected the vice president, and he disrespected his own wife, because it's his wife's moment, not his, right? It ain't about him. It's about his wife. Yet he chose to, because of his issues, make it about him. Now, this is what Eric Grant talks about a lot, and I follow suit right with him. This guy is a professor He's a college professor. So imagine if you are a young, aspiring woman that's brazen and smart and just wanting to, win the universe, and he's grading one of your papers, right? Imagine that. Imagine if you're a young Filipino, LGBTQ white male, young African-American male, young Hispanic male, the list goes on, and he's grading your papers. How's that going to settle with you? And nobody's going to convince me, and I'm not being bullheaded, no one's going to convince me it was because of the cane or fumbling with the Bible and all that garbage. It wasn't because of any of that. Because if it were, because of that, he would have looked at her and sort of given some sort of my hands are full kind of thing. It's not like he hasn't walked with the cane and had to open a door and switch the hand. You know what I mean? You navigate. It's not like he's crippled and he can't walk. He got up there fine. And if he couldn't move, she reached out her right hand, so the corresponding hand would be your right hand. And if that's where the cane was and he couldn't navigate that, he could have taken his left hand and, at least fist pumped her or something. But he put his left hand, which had been relieved of where he'd been relieved of the Bible, in his pocket. Yeah, he did. It's on video. So for all the people who are out there saying, well, but Richie had a cane, you've lost your damn mind. You're just excusing, once again, arrogant, selfish, privileged, narrow-minded white male behavior. You can only see this. This is one of those moments. This is like this is the January 6th moment 2025 where people tried to say that they were the people that invaded the Capitol were there for a tour. We saw with our eyes what they were there for and what they did. So in the same vein, if you think for a minute that I'm going to believe that this dude couldn't have navigated the cane in the Bible to shake the vice president's hand for a celebration of his wife being sworn in, then you're part of the problem. That's the reason that Trump got reelected, is because you don't have the temerity to say, no, that's BS. Sorry, but not. So that's where I'm starting today, because we thought we had gotten through January 6th without any drama this time around. But to me, this is as ugly as it could be, because he wouldn't shake the hand of the Vice President of the United States, who is a woman of color, and he made it about himself, not about his wife. So he disrespected her as well. But she's probably used to it. That's why she's married to him. Okay, 773-763-9278. Yes, this is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
The family meeting.
This is Dr. Sharon Bethea. She's at Northeastern Illinois to teach us about the history of Haiti. And think about this in the context of colonization that has caused things like what we see going on at our southern border.
When we talk about colonization, they choose to destroy and kill and massacre the people. So that began to happen. Indigenous people of that land begin to die out because they brought diseases and wars.
Sundays 4 to 6 p.m., The Family Meeting.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chu.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. You can call or you can text us, and we will chat with you, or we will text with you. So welcome to the show this morning. Major winter storm slams the U.S. At least 4 people, unfortunately, have died. during this winter storm that's been pummeling a large swath of the country. Missouri Public Works employee was fatally injured while participating in snow removal operations, which is terribly sad to hear. While 3 Kansans died in car crashes. Hard-hit Maryland reported more than 120 crashes midday Monday. It's one of the 7 states that have declared a state of emergency. Louisville, Kentucky saw its largest single-day snowfall in nearly 27 years. And even flights out of Chicago's O'Hare Airport were delayed or hours behind. None were canceled, but some were delayed. So throughout the country, nationwide, more than 9,000 flights were delayed and or canceled, according to FlightAware. So wacky, weird storm, and heavy in some areas, not heavy in others, but very icy. Y'all be careful. Like I said yesterday, please be careful today. And the next couple of days, it's going to be cold, windy, and just one of those Januaries in the Midwest. And unfortunately now, other parts of the country. I said to a good friend of mine yesterday, the axis of the earth has tilted. All right, guys, this was kind of stunning, but I know there's going to be a backstory to this. If you guys haven't heard yet, Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau is to step down. He announced his resignation as a Liberal Party leader yesterday after 9 years in office, triggering a race to find his replacement. At a news conference, he said he would stay on as Prime Minister until a new leader is chosen. The move follows mounting pressure to step aside from his own party. Meaning that pressure coming from his own party. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland resigned last month with a public rebuke. The political uncertainty of this comes at a pivotal economic moment. President-elect, 34 times convicted felon, has threatened 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. So that's a little concerning to me. I really want to know what the backstory is there, and let's keep our fingers crossed for our neighbors to the north. The U.S. is curbing offshore drilling. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. President Biden has moved to ban future offshore gas and oil drilling. And this is really an interesting piece here. Parts of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, 625 million acres in total. The executive action announced Monday will block oil companies from leasing waters for new drilling along the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California, in parts of Alaska's northern Bering Sea and the eastern Gulf of Mexico. It covers the entire East Coast as well. Some of the oil industry called the ban significant and catastrophic. Others said it won't have a noticeable impact on U.S. supply or exports. And it's got Trump triggered, by the way, which is something that I'll talk about a little bit. U.S. Steel and Nippon sued to save the merger. They want that to move ahead. They did move ahead they want that to move ahead, be able to move ahead as they have this planned $14.1 billion merger, which President Biden did block last week. The two companies revealed yesterday that they'd filed a lawsuit opposing President Biden's move in a D.C. Court of Appeals, and in a separate suit in Pennsylvania, targets rival Cleveland Cliffs and the president of the U.S. Steelworkers Union. The steelworkers say they've proven their merger, quote, will enhance, not threaten U.S. national security. U.S. steelworkers, meanwhile, are worried that their jobs may be at risk if the deal fails. Nippon had promised not to cut output at U.S. steel facilities. So this is a dicey one, but we'll have to definitely pay close attention to that. Office jobs are harder to come by, according to the Wall Street Journal. While the labor market looks healthy overall, unemployed workers in high-paying white-collar jobs are struggling to find new positions. Jobs in areas including tech, law, and media have become increasingly difficult to obtain as businesses offering these roles slow down their hiring after a post-pandemic boom. Some companies are replacing office jobs with AI, while others are merely aiming to be leaner. More than 1.6 million people in the U.S. have been job hunting for at least half a year, a jump of over 50% since late 2022. And Amazon got their hands in the smoke alarm business. What else can Amazon do for us? Monitor our home's smoke and carbon monoxide levels. The company's Ring subsidiary yesterday put together a new smoke alarm partnership with manufacturer Kitty. Set to launch in April, the new alarms will use Ring technology to notify users or emergency contacts if concerning levels of smoke or carbon monoxide are detected in a home. The service will be available for $5 per month and is part of a push by Amazon's hardware division to generate recurring revenue, according to Bloomberg. So, a couple things that are happening in the world of Choose Views News, guys, and hopefully those are some things you can pay attention to. All right, so I sure wanted to make sure I talked about this incident that wasn't one of destruction and disrespect to property and to people, but it was definitely one of disrespect to people and an institution in terms of what the senator's husband did. He disrespected the vice president of the United States, and he disrespected his wife in public, y'all, not behind closed doors. Brazenly did it right out in public. Why? Because they don't want any diversity. They don't want to see, people that take matters seriously enough to do the hard work like Vice President Harris has done to further our country. And of course, this dude decided he wanted to show his behind. And I will let it go, but I won't let it go. What I mean by that is, I know we got a lot of things to talk about this morning. So that's the part where I'll let it go. But I won't let go the impact that this kind of thing, what this says about our country that people don't want to talk about. Part of the problem is our country doesn't want to talk about certain things because they force people to acknowledge that they, like Eddie Glaude said in his clip that I played a couple days after the election, and like so many other people have said, and oftentimes the people that are saying these things are people that are of color or women, and sometimes both. And that folks don't want to talk about it because it makes them have to deal with the fact that they may have some inherent issues that they haven't yet acknowledged or dealt with. And this was a public display of what people like Eric Grant and I talk about. These guys, these folks had whole positions of authority because he's a professor. He has authority over his students. And he chose to show his behind in public. But what really matters to me is this is the person that's at the DMV that you're trying to get your driver's license. This is the person that's at the checkout counter that has issues with folks of color. This is that doctor, that nurse rather, in that hospital that's breaking the arms of little black babies. That's who this is. That's who this guy is. He is that person. We live with them every single doggone day, and they get a pass. He's going to get a pass. He and his wife maybe have a conversation about it. Maybe they won't. And she might side with him, but she knew she had to shake the vice president's hand or else she wouldn't have been technically been able to be sworn in. Not by the decorum rules. But Senator Deb Fischer may be proudly happy. They might be sitting around sipping, cocktails that he did that and that he dissed her that way. He totally disrespected. Not only he disrespected Vice President, he disrespected Kamala Harris. He disrespected the vice president and vice presidency. He disrespected the ceremony. And I bet you $1 that Senator Deb Fischer is cool with it. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. But here's where the media is going to fail you. They aren't going to ask. If they ask her, I'll be shocked, Devin, if they bring it up to her at some point. I'll be shocked if they say, so Senator Fischer, can you explain what happened at the ceremony? Just an open-ended question. Give her an opportunity to talk. If somebody sees it or is seen it or sees it, please let me know so I can retract that or at least talk about it. But I'm not expecting that the mainstream media is going to say or do a damn thing about that level of disrespect. Okay? So that's what we talk about. That's what we mean sometimes when we say those folks live amongst us. And I give kudos to Eric Grant for reminding us that they do. That's the police officer. That's that sheriff's deputy that pulls you over. The list goes on and on. That's the doctor in the emergency room. And I can just go. The list could be hundreds of positions long. And the reason that you hear a certain amount of in my voice this morning is because he didn't have to do it, but he chose to do it. And so when people ask why there are folks that are still frustrated and they're not going to get over their frustration from the election, it's because of things like that. I'm not trying to speak for everybody. I'm just telling you those are the things that I get sent in terms of emails and texts and notifications and all the rest. It's that kind of stuff that just has people's biscuit burned. So we're going to grab your calls. I know you guys are out there. I know they kind of lit up real quickly this morning. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Call us to get your Care Watch right now.
800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. That's 800-741-5819.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see partial sunshine developing here for today with a high into the mid-20s, winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low near 14. Wednesday, partial sunshine develops a high around 22 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and a high around 25. By Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow showers here, cloudy skies, high of 26. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 17.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Later in the show, in the 7:30 hour today, we're going to have Mike Sozan, who is one of the fellows at the Center for American Progress. He will be talking to us about government accountability. Looking forward to chatting with him in the 7:30 hour. Tomorrow, our good friend Kurt Mullett will be back with us, which I'm excited to chat with him. He's got some great posts that we'll be talking about. And then on Thursday, we have Kenneth Smith, who's a candidate for North Chicago mayor, will be in studio with us. Our good friend Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast on Friday. And we will have Mayor Brandon Johnson with us on Friday, as well as John Fugelsang. So it's a big week. Got a lot of folks landing their little propeller planes with us. And I want to give a little bit of a shout out to a gentleman named Craig C., who is in Ithaca, New York, sent me a really cool email about expanding on the garden diversity analogy that we had, that my man George got to us. And he basically, to give you the edited version, because I want to grab your quick calls, is he basically says it's not a huge leap to envision the parallels between how the planet and animal and soil communities can thrive when they are diverse, integrated, and stable, and how our human communities can benefit by encouraging the same process. So Craig C., if you're listening this morning, shout out to you and kudos to you for the work that you do as an environmentalist and making sure that our ecosystems are hopefully getting better and at least stabilizing, not getting any worse, and helping us be more aware of our land ethics, to use his phrase. But Craig's in just outside of Ithaca, New York. So right on, Craig, and thank you for listening, and thank you for sending me that wonderful email. I appreciate that. Also, a couple of items just to cover. We know that our late President Jimmy Carter is we're going through the funeral services that started on Saturday down in Georgia and making their way to the Capitol. And so today the president they'll be departing and heading to the Rotunda, and then we'll lie in state tomorrow, and then depart the U.S. Capitol by motorcade on Thursday. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of update there. Praises and love and joy to the family and to us as a country for having such a wonderful man and who had openly admitted not perfect, but trying to do a better thing. And I will take some marching orders from him in that space. It's, not perfect, don't know a lot, don't know everything, just trying to do a better job every day for you guys. So it's a time to recognize his great leadership. All right, Devin, let's grab some calls, man. Let's go to our good friend Karen here from True Blue Politics Podcast. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning, Richard and Devin and all y'all out there. It is a cold, icy day here in Chicago. So if you are going out, be really careful. There is a thin layer of ice everywhere.
Yeah.
It took me 5 minutes to get from my house to my car, and I got to text my husband to tell him to throw the salt down because I ain't doing it.
Yeah, it was slickery this morning. So you guys, please be very careful. Please, everybody, be careful today. What's going on, my friend?
Allow extra time. Well, to answer your question, yes, the husband of that racist, misogynistic woman is indeed himself a racist, misogynistic MFer. So.
Yeah.
To your question.
How did that? I don't know how to respond other than the way that I responded and how I saw it and the things that I've seen and people that have sent me bits of information about it. It was disgusting. It was a small thing that's a huge thing that just represents what so many of us have been saying. I can't speak as a woman. I can speak as a man that happens to be black in this country. I saw racism there. Nobody can tell me what my eyes, something different than what my eyes saw. Just like 4 years ago when we all saw that they were not on a tour, a 3-hour tour from Gilligan's Island. That was not what happened. Right. And what yesterday, be damned the cane and holding the Bible. He's done it before. He knows how to navigate that situation.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, look, we all know as white people, okay, I have white skin my entire life, and we have all been in the company of people like that MFer, and that is what that is. We don't need to sugarcoat it. We don't need to sit there and say, oh, he had his cane, he was trying to figure that whole situation out. No. You're up there with your wife as she's being sworn in, with the Vice President of the United States of America. You don't get any kind of pass or leeway there. And
it wasn't his first time.
Exactly. Now that is such a load of BS. That there was any kind of anything other than misogyny and racism. And
he put his other hand in his pocket. Even so, that says it. Yeah. Like exactly. How many times have we all been in a situation where you had a drink in your hand or whatever, and a person comes to shake your hand and you can't navigate the normal handshake, so you at least acknowledge them, even a fist pump, an elbow bump. But he didn't do that. He put his hand in his pocket as if to say, I don't even want to touch you. And
there's not an option. There's no option for him to shake her hand. That's what that was. And F him and F every single person like that. And I'm telling you, white people, we need to, if you have not gotten comfortable with disrupting racism, sexism, whatever, you need to start doing it. Men, all men out there, you all need to start disrupting it because it is way past time. And if we don't start getting real about this stuff, I mean, in a larger sense, okay? Like, I think there's been some awakening in the last, since, certainly since Obama, that, as white liberals, no, it's not over. This is not a thing of the past. Racism is not a thing of the past. And so and I can speak as a white woman, we need to do a better job at disrupting this and maybe not being the most popular person in the family, maybe not being the most popular person at the parties, whatever. In your friend groups, I don't care. We have got to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable and really call this stuff out. And because there are so many things that are happening, the obeying in advance. I sent you an article, Richard, and I'm sure you've already seen it. McDonald's is now the next company that is bowing to pressure to do away with its DEI policies. Yeah, so here we are, and this is how it's going to go. So here, if you have to stuff your gullet with a fast food source, Burger King is pretty much the only game that I can find out there on the Goods app. And by the way, Portillo's, and this breaks my heart, because I am addicted to the cheese fries on occasion. I will get them. Portillo's, our beloved Portillo's right here, gives largely to the Republican Party.
Yep.
So it's a wrap on that for me, too.
I have a list of the companies that, there's some additional information around companies that have contributed to this craziness and this garbage. But see, Karen, and everybody that's listening, this is something that Eric Grant and I have been talking about for years, and that we go after the politicians regarding their decisions, their votes, their positions, and all this. But we should have been, and now people I hope are starting to realize that we have to, progressive liberal Democrats, have to go after corporations, because corporations are the ones that are writing the checks and giving a pass based on who they get behind. And who are those corporations led by? I said for a long, long time, don't just be upset with the people on the camera with mainstream media that are spewing this garbage. Complain to the C-suite. You know why I know it works? It's because remember when, what was the woman's name who was the spokesperson for the RNC? Ronald McDaniel got the job at MSNBC. And not just me, but I certainly felt like I was out front saying the next morning, don't worry about getting upset with MSNBC's folks on the camera. Call, and I had a list of the people that were affiliate C-suite people. That's what we have to do. So we could be upset with Deb Fisher or her husband. Let's find out the companies that are writing checks to them. And if we're doing business with those companies, maybe we need to redirect where we're spending our money. Why can't, if McDonald's has decided that they're gonna back away from this because they're gonna punk out in this space? You know what? I may have to pass on McDonald's for a while, and I have no problem with that. And maybe the money goes to a local burger shop than to this big chain anymore. And that's how we have to wield our power, you guys. We have to wield our power just like that. So, yeah, Karen, it's right in our faces, and people have got to be, I love your phrase, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And if you're not the most popular person anymore, you're popular with yourself because you're being honest and true to your values.
Give me a call. We can have a whole community of people that are not the most popular person in their immediate circles. Okay, I mean, I don't care.
Then we become our own group of popular people. Sorry.
There you go. There you go. We have got. This is enough. Enough is enough. You know, we have each other. We all listen to WCPT. We all listen to you, Richard, and because I am a loyal listener, I do remember you calling on people to contact and the people to contact in the C-suites at NBC. And you know, we have a great lineup and a great group of people. We just had our Zoom meetup. We do it bi-weekly for all the Stephanie Miller fans. And I had my walking group on Sunday, and there are people out there. Form your groups, form your new circles, because we have a lot of work to do, and we cannot be bogged down by being around people in the company of people that are going to, just completely throw us off our game and, hurt us, hurt our emotional well-being, our mental well-being, etc. So we need to just find each other, make your circles.
That's right. Make your own circles. Karen, thanks for the call this morning.
Yeah.
I knew you might have something to say about this. Have a good day, dear.
All right. You too. Love you guys.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get more of your calls. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
Are you tired of talking to yourself? We can get you an audience on the radio. You can produce and host your own radio show on one of our 2 stations. Please call 773-792-1121. That's 773-792-1121 and ask for Mark. Limited space available.
WCPT replay.
Donald Trump has purposely chosen some of the worst people possible to be in his cabinet. He takes somebody who's considered a Russian asset, who was on a TSA watch list for her travel, and she's supposed to be director of national intelligence. Take somebody who's a drunk and a rapist, alleged, and put him in charge of cleaning out the military. I mean, honestly, Robert Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy Jr., he's starting to look like the best of the lot. Oh, my God. What world are we in where he looks like the most sane choice? Kash Patel, who already issued a 60-person hit list of people who he thinks the government should go after, basically Trump's enemies. Seriously?
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. A couple of texts that I want to read to you guys. This one came from one of our listeners in Michigan that says people forget that the Capitol was closed during that time because of COVID. There weren't any tours. Good point. I did forget that. Also, this man is meaning the husband of the senator. Mr. No Handshake, is also, it says that this man is not against women being successful because he's obviously okay with his wife being sworn in. He's a bigot. Wow. Good point, Michigan. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Yeah, we got to be careful with how and where we are running our ads. Okay, I get that. I understand what you're saying. And let's see. And then our good friend Darlene has said, yeah, I don't know if we can mention that or not. Thanks for the text, Darlene. I got to read through that before I can read it on the air. Make sure I don't say something I'm not supposed to say. All right, Devin, let's go to George in Oak Park. George, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Richard. You know, that man, Mr. No Handshake, his spouse, she knows about that. You know, I mean, she probably found out about him while they were dating. And to me, it's just, that's why we need WCPT. Your program, the family meeting with Eric Grant and Michelle. Because otherwise, a lot of us are not going to know what's going on here. And the people that I think that really need to be made aware of this are the ones that did not vote for Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They need to get hammered. Why didn't you do this? I want this to be burned into their minds about how they let this thing get away. Because now, toxicity does as toxicity is, and that's the right-wing fascist party. And we're going to just expect a lot more of it. You know what got me is that, one more. Where is our man? Let me go on. You know, I just found out just yesterday, 4 years after the event, J6, that the White House, now that the Capitol building was stained with the protesters' feces and urine. I mean, it took 4 years for me to find that out. And what really bothers me is that Merrick Garland and President Biden, okay, people were killed. The police force over there suffered fatalities. A lot of people were injured and are still suffering the effects from that. That is bad enough. Shame on police departments for supporting Donald Trump. Those were your brothers that got killed and injured. How dare you support the perpetrator? So, but how does Merrick Garland and Joe Biden ignore that, doesn't pursue Donald Trump, and especially after wiping that crap and that pee all over the place? I mean, I didn't hear about that until just yesterday. This is so...
Well, here's the thing, George. Here's the thing about that. I mean, let's just play this out for a second. And I agree. Let me just say this first, and then I'll address another part of your commentary. I wanted Merrick Garland to do so much more. Millions of Americans did. I promise you that. You're not alone in that space in terms of doing more. There's a part of me that wanted President Biden to fire him and replace him with somebody else that was going to do the job that the American people, quote unquote, wanted him to do. And that's something that I can say openly, that I felt that the president could have done differently in that space. I'm not going to back away from that or feel like I can't say that because I'm going to sound hypocritical. No, I can support the president 99 yards, and that one part there, I wish he had done differently. Now, I've said that out loud. I've said it before, but here's where I want to go with this. You not knowing about that, I'm not necessarily going to blame you for not knowing. I mean, you might be going, how did I not know this? But here's part of the problem. This is where mainstream media and information about this got just so railroaded. And Devin said this to me before we came on the air. He said, you can't even blame the right-wing media. You have to blame all media for us not knowing more about the details of what went down that day. And this is where J6 got railroaded or sidelined in some ways. And the mainstream media, once again, didn't do their job in making it more aware of what they were finding. Now, that being said, George, I'm with you, man. I mean, this is that moment where, one of those moments, again, where America has to stop and go, this is a micro thing that took place in terms of the large scale by comparison. But doggone it. Wake up, America. This is what we've been trying to tell you. This is what we've been trying to tell you for a long time. There are monsters in the doggone closet that have moved to inside the sheets, and they're right there with us. They walk amongst us.
Where is Will Smith when we need him? The day that his wife got insulted by Chris Rock, and in a setting that was broadcast nationally, and Will Smith, when it sunk into him, said, hey, wait a minute, what the hell is Chris Rock talking about my wife like that for? And he walked up to Chris Rock and he slammed him in the face.
Yeah.
Risking his career.
He did.
In the name of his spouse and the name of his children. And that's what Will Smith did. And this is what we need to do. Get in the face and make them pay for their insults.
Yeah, I get it. George, thank you, my man, for giving us a call this morning. And as always, thanks for your contribution to the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating that, we go slap somebody, but I get the point that George is making about getting in people's face. I can separate the two and understand the sub meaning, behind taking a stand. That's really what needs to happen and needs to be the conversation point. We have to take that stand. I'm not going to push you guys into this upcoming break at the top of the hour. We'll get your calls after the 7 o'clock hour because I know you guys have some things to say. But, yeah, I mean, I hear where George is coming from. This is that take a stand moment. This is one of those, and when I say micro, what I mean by that is it wasn't something that was broadcast that we saw like we did with J6 4 years ago. It wasn't that sort of massive, large event. It was a small event by the nature of the swearing-in process and ceremony. But it's become a big deal and it should be a big deal, and people need to keep this one alive because it shows listen, you can talk about economics and inflation and prices and all those things all day long about why Vice President Harris didn't win the election. But in my mind, what happened during that swearing-in ceremony and what he did is why we didn't win the election. It's because the underbelly of America's racism, sexism, misogyny, nationalism, elitism that comes from the right, not the left, privilege, that and the need to perpetrate a message to the white middle class that speaks to what this guy did. That's why she lost the election. And a lot of people can't get there because they want to blame it on something else, because they don't want to then deal with their own inherent biases in that space. I can help you with that. I've developed over the years a series of questions that I can ask people, and it gets to the point where they can't. They then just shut down, and that's when you get to the point where it's painful for them to have the questions asked of them. And I've learned this kind of experientially over the years, somewhat anecdotal, but it works. And what that guy did was that's a small micro moment of really and truly why we did not win this election and why we have the issues that we have in this country today. Why we have a nurse breaking arms of black babies in hospitals. And the list goes on. And America just doesn't want to deal with it. And I don't apologize for speaking that truth. It doesn't mean I'm angry that the country keeps lying to itself, but it doesn't mean I'm angry in this space. I'm disappointed in many ways because I'm like Doc Rivers, a former NBA basketball player and coach, that says that this country has a number of people, millions of people in it that love it more than the country loves them back. And he was speaking specifically about black folks, and it was during the height of the George Floyd murder. But he was also more generally speaking about people in all of our communities, our LGBTQ, our Hispanic communities, our Latin communities, our Asian communities, our Muslim communities, and the list goes on. He was speaking about that. And what the senator's husband did that's exactly what it was. It is. And you guys have got to be willing to say it was that. It wasn't about anything else than that. That'll be a major step for somebody to take, to acknowledge that it fits into that box rather than the one that they want other people want to encourage you to put it into. Okay. College professor doesn't not know the decorum of that moment, especially if he's done it before. Okay. That's what you have to deal with. That's what you have. That's the challenge of what you have to deal with when it comes to your family, your friends, your business associates, your colleagues, your pastor, your minister, all the rest is dealing with that action as calling it what it was in the moment. That's what I'm talking about. And until we get there, we're going to continue to wash, rinse, and repeat. I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. So. Guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll grab more of your calls to get into the second hour. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
Hey there, it's Carrie Joy with your Work Money Minute. On my YouTube channel, I recently talked to Amanda Clayman, a financial therapist and an all-around excellent person. We talked about how to reduce money anxiety, and her advice was really helpful. She said, unless we have a time to do money, we don't have a time to not do money. Meaning, if we set aside some time to think about and manage our money, it lets our brain stop worrying about money all the time. For example, I have a monthly money meeting with myself, which lowers my money anxiety and helps keep me on top of my finances. If you don't already, set and keep that money meeting with yourself. It'll help your wallet and your peace of mind. Remember what Amanda said, unless you have a time to do money, you don't have a time to not do money. For more everyday money tips, check out workmoney.org. Till next time, this is Carrie Joy saying, take good care.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
AP News. Good morning, I'm Ed Donahue. Winter weather has its grip on a big part of the country. It's moved deeper into the south with cold conditions. Peter Mullinax at the National Weather Service says there will be more snow.
We're going to end up seeing areas of snow and ice start to take shape across parts of northern Texas, southern Oklahoma as we get into Thursday morning. And then by the time we get to Thursday night into Friday, snow and ice will make its way across the Arklatex region and lower Mississippi Valley. That will ultimately lead to some pretty disruptive and even significant snow and ice accumulations in parts of those regions.
Wind chill temperatures could dip into the teens to low 20s from Texas across the Gulf Coast. New Orleans held its first parade of the carnival season just blocks from the French Quarter, where 14 people were killed by the driver of a pickup truck. For Amber Constant, the mood has changed.
It's pretty tough to see all these people that came to the same places that we have always came to.
Amir Tubad Gray in New Orleans says this happened, but
New Orleans is going to come back resilient as ever, no less strong for sure.
Before the parade, President Biden paid tribute to that resilience at nearby St. Louis Cathedral.
You define it. Whether it's in the form of this attack, or hurricanes or superstorms, this city and its people get back up.
The attack in New Orleans is the deadliest assault on U.S. soil in years, inspired by the Islamic State group. The first international commercial flight since the fall of former Syrian President Bashar Assad landed at the Damascus airport. The first human death from bird flu has been reported in the U.S. A person in Louisiana who had severe respiratory symptoms. Health officials say the person was older than 65, had underlying medical problems, and had been in contact with sick and dead birds. Jean-Marie Le Pen, the founder of France's far-right National Front, has died. He was 96. His daughter, Marine, now runs the party. This is AP News. A sad anniversary in France.
A decade after gunmen stormed the offices of satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo in a deadly assault that shook France to its core, the nation's pausing to honour the victims and grapple with the evolving challenges of free expression and terrorism. President Emmanuel Macron and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo are leading solemn tributes at the site of the attack, where 12 people, including some of France's most beloved cartoonists, were killed on January 7, 2015. The massacre, carried out by two brothers claiming allegiance to Al-Qaeda, marked the start of a wave of extremist violence, pushing the country to reassess its security priorities and commitment to free speech. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A strong earthquake shook a high-altitude region of western China and areas of Nepal and killed at least 95 people in Tibet. Many others were trapped as dozens of aftershocks shook the remote region. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see partial sunshine developing here for today with a high into the mid-20s, winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low near 14. Wednesday, partial sunshine develops a high around 22 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and a high around 25. By Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow showers here, cloudy skies, high of 26. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 17.
WCPT replay.
Dean Obeidallah, Vice President Harris and I was a big fan in the campaign. You're our leader. You told us Trump was a fascist threat. Literally, you said fascist, a threat to our democracy. And where are you? Where is Joe Biden, who said that Donald Trump and MAGA was an existential threat to the foundation of our republic? His exact words. You're a welcoming guy to the White House. You should be leading in one voice, a playbook, saying, look what's coming, and here's how we're going to fight it. Instead of rolling over by them and hearing talking about Democrats saying, we're finding common ground with Trump. Why is it Republicans never try to find common ground with Joe Biden or Barack Obama? All they try to do is make them a one-term president and defeat them and block them every way possible. We need Democrats who are fighters. Either they lied to us about the threat that Trump was, and they weren't lying, and now they backed off because it's easier to do this. So the base has to be the leadership going forward.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to Choose Views, second hour, 773-763-9278. Going to get your calls just in a moment. I'm going to go through a couple of our 7 o'clock hour items. Of course, make your way over to heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform. We've got some great Heartland Signal on X video and audio clips there that you guys want to check out. One that I found really interesting while taking pictures after Senator Dave McCormick, from a Republican from Pennsylvania, was sworn in. One of his daughters appears to tell Vice President Harris, "I voted for you." And the Vice President responded by saying, "I could tell." Cute moment. I did see that video. And there's others that you guys should check out. Alyssa Slotkin, our Democratic senator in Michigan, brings a group of almost 40 family members to her ceremonial swearing in, which was cool to see. So make your way over there, guys, to check out the work that we have at heartlandsignal.com. And also, as normal on our weekdays today, particularly 2 to 5, Joan Esposito has guests that will include Chicago Tribune investigative reporter Ray Long, Salon.com's Amanda Marcotte, and Heartland Signal's Rich Eberwine, with 3 stories that you might have missed from our digital newsroom. So make your way over there, live, local, and progressive, and definitely check out Joan weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT 820. And then in case you need a ride home, guess who'll be driving? Patty Vasquez, driving it home. We'll be taking your calls and talking to WHBY Out of the Box host Ben Kamenos, driving it home with Patty Vasquez weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT. And guys, guess what you can do? You can get the short version and the long version, or the full episodes, or Choose Views featured interviews by going over to our podcast location. You can subscribe to one or both. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon, and TuneIn. That's where you can search and find my stuff, our stuff, at heartlandsignal.com/choose-views. All right, guys, here we are. It is 7 o'clock, and want to remind you to stay tuned for my radio sister on the West Coast, Stephanie Miller's show, the Tom Hartman Show, who is a professor of everything progressive, and you got to plug into Joan and Patty. They are the afternoon road dogs. Let's go to some calls, Devin. Let's go to Kurt in Akron, Ohio. Welcome, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm okay, and thank you. Nice to follow Karen, 2 people back. And we were on the Zoom call yesterday. So,
cool. That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, and I appreciate that. So anyway, I wanted to tell you, back in the day, I was small, so I barely remember this, but my mother has reminded me of it. We were at a store one time, and I think it was my first time being exposed to black people. I'm just going to say black people. And I do remember this saying, "Mom, that lady has gloves on." And you can just tell my mother. You can tell my mother was embarrassed. You know. Well, anyway.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Anyway, the cashier was so nice about it. And this is where my mother reminded me recently how the checkout lady said, "No, I'm different because God made me different. That's the way God made me." And she said, "Why don't you touch my hand?" So that's how I was exposed to people of different races, where a nice checkout lady, who I probably insulted, was nice enough to let a little child touch her hand to see that she was okay, you know?
Yeah.
So
well, but
it just gets...
Go ahead, Kurt. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You have your thought.
No, I was just going to say I chuckled behind that because I remember in kindergarten, this goes back a long time, before you were born, more than likely, most certainly, where I had an incident like that where I was the only black kid in the entire class, and one of my schoolmates at the time, another kid had a comment about why my dirt wouldn't wash off my hands at the sink in the classroom. And another little kid who I didn't know anything about him, but his comment was, it's because he's black. It's not because his hands are dirty. And this was in first grade. And this kid became one of my best friends through high school, because at that moment he stood in the void and said what he knew. And I remember asking him when we got older why he said that. And he said, because, you're not the first black person that I've ever seen. We were the same age at the time. But it's funny that you had that experience and that the lady recognized that here's a child that doesn't know any different. And they, my opportunity was to say, hey, touch my hand. And this little thing.
But I could just imagine, though, how embarrassed my mother had to be about that whole situation, because I didn't just say it quietly. I said it quite loud in the middle of the store.
Well, look at the dude that you turned out to be, and that's the real message. That's the real message, Kurt.
And here's the thing, and I texted this to you, how it's not the racists that go out and parade their bigotry on TV. I have no problem with those people, because at least they have the guts to show their bigotry and how stupid they are. I mean, God love them for expressing their stupidity to the world. At least they have the guts to do it.
And at least we know who we know who they are. We can see them for who they are, real time.
Right, and I don't agree with them, but I respect them for at least having the guts to be stupid about that. What I'm more afraid of are what you said, people like doctors, teachers, nurses, real estate agents, police officers. I mean, we're going to be talking about this next week. I don't want to give too much away, but some police officers are now starting to build local armies to go knock on doors in the next couple of weeks. So, those are the people I fear more, the people that use their position of power in order to keep people down. And I know this from experience, because I have a cousin who used to work for a delivery company, and he would fire people because of their race, because of their sexual orientation. And he admitted that privately. When he would go down on a weekly basis to the Labor Relations Board, he would lie openly about why he fired those people. Oh, their mustache wasn't cut properly, or they didn't follow the dress code, or this person was always late, or they didn't do it right. Just take stuff up to make it look good why he fired them. And he would basically laugh about it at family gatherings like it was funny. And I'm thinking, you are such, but, it's just, why you're
words you can't say it on the air.
Right. Thank you, George Carlin. And and the guy's a coward. The guy's a complete coward. I mean, I can remember there was an alleged homosexual running around his town where he lived, and he would stand outside of a pickup truck at a far distance and see this alleged homosexual. I'm going to say alleged because you don't know.
Right.
And start, spouting off homophobic statements to this guy. And, it was just horrible to even listen to the story. And it just bothers me that our mothers were raised by the same parents. And yet one turned out one way and one turned out the other.
Well, listen, man, I when you were saying a moment ago, my father used to say to me, I can deal with the racist and the sexist and the bias for the people that speak it out loud. And to your point about, I don't respect them for being loud and proud about their bigotry. I see their privilege and their audacity. I don't give a damn attitude, but at least it's coming at you. It's the ones like you and I both have said, and Eric Grant and many, many, many others have said, it's the ones that hide in the shadows that are the ones that are doing destruction that we don't know about, that are the ones.
Just remember, Richard, just remember, too, it wasn't that long ago, 60 years ago, people that were out in the open weren't out in the open because they were hiding under their white sheets.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then you find out that one of the people on the white sheets is one of your administrators at a
your mayor.
Yeah, or your mayor. Exactly. So, all right, my man, I'm glad.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I knew that was going to get you tickled this morning. So, Appreciate your call, Kurt. Glad you're well, and happy 2025, man. As always, I'm glad you're doing well.
By the way,
what's up?
By the way, the snow sucks, and I swear to God, God's getting us in the Midwest for voting for Donald Trump. And if that's the case, hey God, I voted for Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris.
So give us a
my
break.
House should have 75 degrees and sunny over my house.
Oh, I agree 1,000%. So, Kurt, look forward to next week when we're going to have John on. That'll be fun. We'll get that confirmed, and that'll be a good call. So have a good rest of the week. Give us a holler if I trigger you again, okay?
Yeah, you too, and bye, Karen.
All right, man. Be well.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Kurt's a mess. Kurt is a mess. Mommy, she's got gloves on. But you know, that happens. That's happened. And kudos to the woman at the checkout counter, and kudos to Kurt's mom for navigating him through that, because those are moments where they could go in a totally different direction and a child can be impacted in a negative way. So we're going to take a quick break. I see you out there. Your call's on hold. We're going to get back to you right after this break. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Adopt, don't shop. This is Dr. Craig from Mark Drugs. We're proud to support WCPT's Pet of the Month, benefiting the Anti-Cruelty Society. Adopt, don't shop is the movement that promotes animal rescue over pet stores. Illinois has wisely outlawed pet stores, but many of those operators merely moved over the border to Indiana or Wisconsin. Their dogs largely come from inhumane puppy mills and live shorter lives with a myriad of health problems caused by overbreeding. I have several canine patients that are on an extensive regimen of medicines simply to extend their lives. I believe every dog deserves a loving home, proper nutrition, and a chance at a long, healthy life. In my experience, rescued mixed breed dogs are the healthiest of all. So stop by the Anti-Cruelty Society location in the city or log on to their website to find your potential next family member. Or check out markdrugs.com to see this month's Pet of the Month. Remember, you have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Deerfield and Roselle. Get better health and care for you and your pets.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So, Darlene, kudos to you for the text that you sent. Apparently, it was captured. The audio was captured that when the senator's husband chose not to shake the hand of Vice President Harris, she said, "It's okay. I won't bite. I'm not going to bite. Don't worry." Right on, Vice President Harris. See what y'all didn't do? You could have had that. You could have had a president that kneels down to hug a child and have a child feel comforted. You could have had all those other things. But nah, you lied and said the groceries are too high. And they are. And other things are too high. But they were high before this cycle. You fail to remember that. And you failed to lean into an administration that was going to make sure that if we had another pandemic, that we wouldn't have the numbers of people that died and that were injured by the results of that the pandemic. And I could go on. I'm not going to do that right now because I promised I'd get to the calls. Let's go to John in Los Angeles. John, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, I'm over here in LA, son. I got dogs too. I'm waking up. So is the dog. Anyway, now that I'm on the phone with you, I was thinking more about that Will Smith thing first, and that was the Academy Awards, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
All three of those guys are super actors, aren't they? They're
all good actors. Yes, all three of them are good actors, good performers, good entertainers.
Okay, so I'm figuring that out and taking it about as serious in reality as a Hollywood movie. But anyway, back to this election thing. Okay, I didn't vote for Kamala. I voted for Cornell.
Okay,
and Melina.
Okay,
but. I do wear a white skin uniform. All right? but I refuse to fight that nonsense civil war with humanity, because it's the systems of this country that are to blame. Before Emmett Till was mutilated, okay, there was a lot of racism in this country. However, there was someone named FDR who brought a lot of fascism out of our systems.
Right.
But thanks to Reagan, fascism has crept back in, and it's here.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's all about us versus the non-humans, fascist corporations. Okay?
But John, according to Mitt Romney, corporations are people too, my friend.
Corporations are corporations are groupings of people, just like pods are groupings of whales, or murders are groups of crows. They are not crows, and groups are not people, and the Citizens United are not citizens.
Yeah.
They are groups.
It's groups.
They are not humans. They are anti-humans, actually.
In many ways, they're groups of propaganda that turn into something that people want to make or humanize, when in fact, just be human to human beings. I mean, in my little world, that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, John.
Anyway, we're not the ones. We're being made responsible. Us humans, us citizens, are being made responsible for the predicament that we're in. However, the corporate media that you talk about, okay, whether it's the corporate Musk media or whatever, the systems of this country have divided us and made us responsible because they've separated us from each other. And they keep on dividing and conquering us. And it's about time we take, not with a red MAGA hat, take this country back and make it finally right. Or great again. But at least make it finally right. Because it's making it great again. It was never great to begin with. It was never ever great.
And a lot of people have gotten that twisted to understand when we say it wasn't great, never has been great, in the sense that that's not denigrating necessarily the country. It's saying we got some issues that people just don't want to deal with to fix. So, John,
let me tell you, I love this country. I'm a patriot per se, but I hate this government. I hate the ones who controlled it all along. It hasn't been a democracy, and the sooner everybody realizes it's never been a democracy, maybe then we'll become one.
It definitely has to be leaned into and talked about. John, thank you. I got to get to another call because I'm trying to squeeze one in before we get to our guest. Thanks, John, for calling from Los Angeles, and take care of those dogs. No, I mean, listen, we've asked the question a bunch of times, and I know John was fitting in a couple different thoughts there, but it's early in California, so we give him a little bit of space. He's not wrong. You know, the country's got to deal with the non-greatness of the country and the ways in which systems, justice system, we could start there. Our economic system, our educational system, the list goes on, got issues. A lot of times you get comfortable as a country or an individual or a group, to John's point, and you don't get stuff done. That's kind of where we've been for way too long. Let's go to Naomi. We're staying on the West Coast in Santa Monica, one of my favorite places on the planet, Santa Monica, California. Good morning, Naomi, and welcome to the show. I'm not joking. It just is. I know my way around Santa Monica, like somebody that some Chicago should know their way around. You could spin me around. I can tell you where we are in Santa Monica. I love Santa Monica. What's going on, Naomi? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be here. Thank you. Should I take you off my speakerphone?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit cleaner without the bounce of the echo.
Okay. All right. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, both of us are wide awake, but you're 2 hours ahead of the game out in Santa Monica. What's going on this morning?
Don't ask. Don't even ask. I'm having a crazy night. But anyhow, the thing about our country is this democracy never existed. It was aspirational. It never existed, and we did not ever do the job that needed to be done to create a democracy.
Well, the powers that be, I go back to something that John said about, governments, organizations, groups have always wanted, in large measure, it's one of the reasons that the Civil War became what it was, is that the country has always wanted to have a hierarchy and have those in power be the ones that ruled. I mean, we're just
not only wanted to, it did.
Well, yeah, I guess that's. I mean, one of the things that I
come on.
One of the things that I always.
There were slaves.
Yeah,
there were slaves. There were Indian natives. I mean, it was always a hierarchy. There always has been. Our job was to eliminate that as much as possible. But in order to do that, we had to admit what was going on, and we never did. We have always been in denial, and that is the problem. But you know what? I don't think it's too late.
I don't either. I think, listen, Naomi, here's one of the things that I want to say to your point. And I said it earlier in talking about the situation with the senator's husband. That is a real-time, perfect example of what the country and how some people have reacted to that. That is the problem right there. The country does not seem to want to look in the mirror and go, that's messed up. This is a problem we've had for centuries. The country can't, until the country can do that en masse, we will wash, rinse, and repeat. So your point is well taken, Naomi. The country has never really collectively as a group, an entire society. We still have people in this country that are denying that slavery was the first or second sin of this country. We still have people that are saying that slavery was good for a segment of this country, or enslavement rather. So that
the first sin was the native people that we tried to eliminate.
That's why I said it was one of the first two, because I've been around long enough to understand that was the first sin. But the long running sin of enslavement and the list goes on. So I appreciate your point and John's, ironically, both coming from California this morning. We got it until that acknowledgement takes place. And see, this is where Naomi, you may have observed this. The people that immediately jumped to the defense of the senator's husband, trying to say it was because of the cane and because of holding the Bible, proves to me that they're once again willfully ignorant or just stubbornly not even able to acknowledge what that really was.
No, they're not willfully ignorant. They're willfully blind.
How about a little bit
because
of both?
You have to see it. You have to see it, and you don't want to see it. They do not want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Naomi, you will get no argument from me on that. I fully understand where you're coming from. We're coming up on a break, and we have a guest at 7:30. So I have to ask you a nosy question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You were going to say something.
Go ahead. Yeah, I just want to mention a couple of things really quickly. The owner of the LA Times, Patrick Yoon-Xiong, Chinese South African, and I am South African. I was born there, and I have cousins, I have relatives who are in the ANC who had to leave South Africa. White ones. We're Jewish. We're Lithuanian Jews. My dad married an American, so I had citizenship even though I was born there. But so I'm the only one in the family, just about, of all the cousins who doesn't have the accent. But anyway, he is South African. He is in league with Thiel and Musk. And I am so concerned about this South African connection.
I know. I've been talking about that for weeks, if not months now. That's something that folks are not paying attention to. They're watching one thing over here. Meanwhile, they're getting their pockets run through. And that's where these guys have that connection. I've been talking about it for a long time. This is what America does sometimes. Not sometimes, most of the time. It doesn't pay attention to stuff like that. Thiel, Musk, and
Patrick are the LA Times.
And if you look at their chronological ascension, their age, that's also going back to, like you just said, what was going on in South Africa during apartheid. These guys were raised observing that. And so how adept of you, Naomi, to understand what that may mean and what that danger could be to the country.
But at the same time, we could look at South Africa to correct our problem.
Absolutely.
To work on, to help us work at it.
Yeah.
I
agree. So here's a question.
The guy from New. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm hitting this break. So I was going to ask you a nosy question in terms of where in Santa Monica you are, but I'm not going to put you out there like
I'm
that.
right almost at the beach. I'm so lucky. I can hear the ocean at night.
That's
when it's quiet.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. Near Ocean Avenue. That's.
I'm off of Ocean. I'm between Ocean and 4th, so
Okay.
I'm like a couple of blocks in from the on the Palisades.
On the closer to the promenade. Okay, I got you.
Do you know? No. I'm at San Vicente. Do you know where the totem pole is?
Oh yeah, I do.
You know where the totem pole is?
Yep.
I'm right there. I'm kind of right there.
I know what you're talking about. The big curve
Yeah.
from Ocean onto San Vicente going
down into the Santa Monica Canyon. Yes.
Yep. Gotcha.
You go down into the canyon.
I know where you are.
But anyway, the guy from New Orleans,
Yeah.
the New Orleans issue, he was not from New Orleans. Where was he from? I forget. Georgia? No, Texas.
Texas. Okay.
He's not a terrorist. I think he was a victim of racism. He's a victim of what we were talking about, the denial of the racism. They want to call him a terrorist. And let me tell you something. As a Jew, the people that want to come and get you label you a terrorist. The Armenians were terrorists, and that gave leave to the Turks to kill them. The Nazis had leave to slaughter people because they were terrorists. We were labeled terrorists, the Jews. So, it's just a really glib label, and it's baloney. It's really garbage.
Yeah, I think it's not saying it's a complicated situation. It's right in front of us as to what it really is. So
he's no terrorist. He was.
What he did though.
Because of our,
yeah, I mean his actions.
Yes, I agree. He was mentally ill, but it was a product of our society, which has wronged so many people.
Yeah. Naomi, I have got to go to this break.
Okay.
I appreciate your call, and I'm glad that you shared some enlightenment this morning. And make sure you give us a call
I'm glad
back.
you know where I live because it's absolutely gorgeous up here. Thank you. And I love your town, too. I came to visit your town. It was fantastic.
Thank you, Naomi. We appreciate your call and your contribution to the show. Enjoy your day, okay?
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye. Bye now. All right, Deb, I know we pushed it a little bit tight there. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, guys, and we'll be right back.
Hello, friends. This is Jason Bissell from Chicago Community Acupuncture. We're starting a new year, and what do you want to do with it? I suggest you take this opportunity to get happy and healthy. How do you do that? Well, acupuncture can help, but the real goal of Chinese medicine is to teach our patients to adjust their diet, lifestyle, and attitudes so they don't need medicines or treatment. To learn how, read The Asian Diet. Simple secrets for eating right, losing weight, and being well. Available at all major online retailers. It's time to take control of your health. If not now, when? And if acupuncture can help, see us at Chicago Community Acupuncture at Milwaukee, Devon, and Nagel. Call us at 773-853-0920, 773-853-0920, or our website, Chicom Acu.
Chicomacu.
CHICOMACU.com.
Or CHICOMACU.com. Chicomacu.
And Happy New Year.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see partial sunshine developing here for today with a high into the mid-20s, winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low near 14. Wednesday, partial sunshine develops a high around 22 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and a high around 25. By Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow showers here, cloudy skies, high of 26. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 17.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So listen, we had a couple calls back to back, and one of the things I want to say before we bring on our guests is I don't jump down people's throats unless they say something that I think is insulting. And one of the comments was that one of our callers voted for Cornel West. Okay, a lot of people did. I'm not going to jump down their throat for that. I don't agree with it, and I didn't think it was. I heard it, and I didn't miss it. I just didn't think it was necessary to jump down their throat about it because I was looking at the greater point they were making about systems. So sometimes, guys, and I love your texts and I love your calls, and I have to respond accordingly. I'm not going to jump on somebody about certain things, and I didn't jump on John because of that, because I was listening to his broader point about systems. There's a lot of people who voted for a third-party candidate, and you know how I feel about that. That was a wasted vote, and the protest vote means you have the privilege to vote in that way, which I completely disagree with. So I'll say that now so that you guys don't think I missed it, but I'm not going to jump down somebody's throat and jump on them for that. And, you know, I've made it clear, I think, that voting for Trump was awful, and voting a third-party candidate, whether it be Jill Stein, Cornel West, or anybody else, hey, that was a wasted vote. So let me be clear in case anybody missed my clarity in that space. Don't ever think that I miss it. It's just a question of how I choose to deal with it in the moment. So just please be reminded of that, guys. Every now and again, as I say oftentimes, we have smart people who are our guests on the show, and they've got something to say about things that we need to hear. This morning, from the Center for American Progress Action Fund, we have Mike Sozan. That I just admire the work that he's done. He's a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, and Mike is one of those guys that can talk about democracy, accountability, and all the things that matter to the country. And right now, we're about to face some of that in a major way with this new administration. So I'd like to welcome to the show this morning Mike Sozan, senior fellow at the Center for American Progress Action Fund. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. I'm happy to be on with you.
Thank you so much for saying that. So I'm going to dive into the deep end of the pool. If you could, tell us a little bit of what's the Action Fund? Many people are aware of the Center for American Progress, but may not necessarily be aware of the other divisions or components or part of what the center does and stands for.
Right. Well, the Center for American Progress Action Fund is a sister organization of the Center for American Progress. So we call them CAP Action and CAP. They're both doing interrelated work. I wear hats for both of them. The main distinction is that CAP is the C3 part of the organization, a nonprofit, nonpartisan, and CAP Action, also a nonprofit, can do a little more partisan work. So today I'm here kind of in my role with my hat from CAP Action, where I can talk in a little bit more partisan way. We are both wings of the same bird are all about trying to find ways to make life better for everyday Americans, policies that make sense, that are often progressive, that are about really helping people achieve the American dream.
That makes sense, because a lot of times, again, I don't pretend to know all this. That's why I'm asking you the question. So, all right, you mentioned partisan. I want to ask you a question that's not partisan, but it's just I think a lot of people that follow progressive politics and listen to what we talk about have this question. So you, at some point, were part of the Justice Department. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So what the hell is going on at the Justice Department right now? I mean, what are we going to look like as we go forward, man?
Well, I think the Justice Department is about to undergo a big upheaval with the incoming Trump administration. I mean, the Justice Department traditionally, not always, but traditionally has really tried to have an independence from the president, has tried to have an attorney general that upholds the law and tries to apply the law for the benefit of the public good, for the American people. And Joe Biden actually tried to really uphold that principle and really tried to give Merrick Garland, the attorney general, some independence. In fact, I think it was frustrating to a lot of people how much independence Merrick Garland had and how much running room Joe Biden gave Merrick Garland to make his own decisions. I think we're about to undergo a sea change with the incoming Trump administration. I think that Trump has outwardly said that he wants to assail his political enemies, that he wants to use the Justice Department to exact political retribution on people, that he wants to settle political scores via his attorney general. He's nominated somebody who is an extreme loyalist to him. Her name is Pam Bondi. You'll remember that his first nominee for attorney general to run the Justice Department was Matt Gaetz, who had to withdraw his nomination. He was such a laughably terrible and corrupt nominee. And I'll also mention, most of your listeners probably know this, of course, but the FBI is housed within the Justice Department, and the FBI has incredible powers to investigate political enemies, to investigate everyday Americans. And Trump has nominated a man named Kash Patel to head the FBI, who is so outside the mainstream, so dangerous, and believes things like the FBI was responsible for the January 6th insurrection. That's who Trump wants to put in charge of the FBI. This is not going to be a good thing for the American people, for law enforcement, for our nation.
So I'm going to thank you for that, and I'm going to come back to it. It's interesting, this whole thing around deporting people and getting rid of citizenship in terms of, how birthright citizenship is authored and then implemented. It seems as though two of the people that are talking about or trash talking our systems happen to be those who are maybe on the cutting edge of if their birthright citizenship would qualify. That being one you just mentioned, Kash Patel. Reports are coming out that that there's something that might be a little bit hinky in his aggregation into this country. And right. I mean, so my question is, when I'm giving that tease, my question is, what are the states going to be capable of doing? And I'll lay it out this way. Here in Illinois, we have a strong governor in J.B. Pritzker, and we have some strong officials here in the state of Illinois. A few weeks ago, Tom Homan came in to Chicago spewing garbage about Mayor Johnson, the city's mayor, and Governor Pritzker being the S word, they S. And so what happens when some of the federal authorities come in or try to come in and say, we're going to do this, 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 and the other? What do the state authorities and the state legal system have as a firewall against that?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, the states can act as firewalls in various different ways. And it's been really heartening to see some of the Democratic governors, the common sense governors, standing up and saying, you know what, we are going to protect our people from abuses of the federal law, from abuses of immigration authorities, all sorts of abuses. So it's important to kind of just lay that rhetorical groundwork for governors to do that, and other state officials who are able to do that, because they are able to be able to protect their people in different ways. It's not just in immigration. There are different ways that when the federal government tries to overreach, let's just take, for example, in the area of abortion rights. States have been standing up to that, and if the federal government, for example, tries to stop the sending of abortion-related medication through the mail, states can try to do something about that. States can also launch lawsuits against the federal government overreach, and so there are lots of different things that states can do along the way. But one thing they're hampered with is sometimes federal law is just paramount to state law. And I think that over the next several years, we're going to really see the challenging interplay there. And for states that are aggressive, we're going to see them trying to push back through all their means, through legislation, through litigation, even ways to mobilize their people to stand up against federal overreach.
So, and thank you for that clarification. And we're going to have you back again, because this is a space where you've definitely laid the groundwork with the work that you've done and the CAPS reports that you put together. So, early part of last week, Chief Justice Roberts came out and said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, hey, Donald, don't try to change too much stuff. Don't try to go too hard on rulings. And I asked this question. First of all, I said, well, John Roberts needs to shut the hell up because he helped create the monster and then gave the monster tools, i.e. immunity, to wield. So now,
he turned him into a king, basically.
Right. So now he's telling the king, "Hey, shut up," or "Don't do this, don't do that." So I'm coming to what you just said about what the states can do in terms of galvanizing within a state, and then maybe multi-state galvanization between, Illinois and a New York, a California, Colorado with Governor Paulus. What happens if there's multiple states that get together and say, almost in a class action manner, that the federal government doesn't have standing in certain areas? Do you think that the court system will give those cases, the opportunity to be presented?
I think so. I think that there will be interesting and important legal challenges, and sometimes it'll take years to resolve it, and sometimes it will have to get through a Trump-appointed judge, for example. And we know that some of the Trump-appointed judges have made rulings that are really that deny precedent and make up whole new law in order to get to an extreme result. But these cases will wind their way through the system, through the all the way up to the Supreme Court, and sometimes that will take a few years. And it's really, I think, it's a worrisome development in the past few years to see how John Roberts has led the extremists on the Supreme Court. I feel in some ways they pulled him to the right, the extremists that were Trump nominees, and you see them really rejecting precedent and rejecting the ways that the Supreme Court has made its decisions in the past. We've seen them accepting huge gifts from the multi-billionaires millionaires who are in front of the court, so they're acting unethically sometimes, like Justice Clarence Thomas. And so I worry about the decisions that are going to continue to come out of the Supreme Court, and I feel that sometimes the court is bending the law in order to reach a result that they know that Donald Trump will want. And I think that's also a reason that trust in the Supreme Court has plummeted in the last few years. The American people usually had great trust in the Supreme Court compared to other governmental institutions, and that's been slipping away.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So let's chat a little bit about this. J6 was yesterday. J6 4 years ago, and what didn't happen yesterday versus what did happen 4 years ago. You've got some thoughts about what Trump was able to do with regard to the media in the prosecuting, if you will, of J6 over the last 4 years.
Well, yeah, and I've written a lot about January 6th and the accountability that came from it or should have come from it. And yesterday, as we saw Congress doing its constitutional duty to certify the electoral victory of Donald Trump to be our next president, it was a sobering day. I mean, I will say we saw Vice President Harris gracefully doing her job, her duty to preside over the process, where she had to declare herself ultimately as the loser of the election. Yeah. But she did it because that's what our democratic process is about. But wow, I mean, we have seen the whitewashing of the facts around January 6th. I mean, you remember on 4 years ago, there was almost universal condemnation of the insurrection, and we saw it on our TV. We saw that mob bludgeon the police officers and threaten to kill lawmakers. But now what we see is just the whitewashing of the facts, and huge numbers of Americans are agreeing that maybe it was just a harmless demonstration. And the media have played a role in that. Thank goodness there are people like you in the media who are there to really continue to talk about the facts and not allow the nation to be lulled into lies. But this sort of development is something that I continue to study, I continue to write about, because what does it mean when our nation no longer holds common beliefs or respects common facts, or when many Americans shrug off the types of brazen anti-democracy actions like the insurrection. And I think it, you were just talking about systems a little bit ago. I think that a lot of this is because many people feel unheard or unseen by the political system. And so a lot of us are talking about the need to build a much stronger democracy, one that can truly be responsive and accountable to the American people. You mentioned that with one of your callers just a little bit ago. We've never really fully achieved that in this nation. And I think there are ways we can do it. And if we can do it, we can hopefully stop the slide towards authoritarianism.
That's such a wonderful point. One of the folks that follows us sent me a text, and basically, and I don't disagree with you, she said that she agrees that we've got problems, but we still do have a democracy, and that we have always been aspirational toward a democracy. So I'm with you in that. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a good foundation, and now's the time for everybody to kind of stand. It's like a waterfall, not a waterfall, but when you have running water and you're trying to redirect it, the water's going to still run, but we've got to redirect that water at this point so that it doesn't take over the things that we've built and that we've all believed in. Mike, last question for you before I let you go. And this has been so great, and I'm looking forward to having you back, because we're going to have a lot to talk about in the next 4 years.
We sure will, and I will happily come back.
Let me ask you this question. It's a nerdy question, but it's important to me. What drives you? The work that you do is so important, and it's so informative to folks that read and follow what you're doing. But what drives you to do the work that you do?
Well, it's interesting. So my father he left. He escaped Hungary in 1956, which they were having a revolution then, trying to overthrow communism. He came to the U.S. as a refugee, and he really instilled in me his love of this nation, even with all of its challenges. And later on, when I grew up and I got a law degree, I realized that I kind of wanted to give back, and I didn't want to necessarily go the corporate route, although I did that for a few years. But I worked in public service. I worked for the Department of Justice, and then worked for many years on Capitol Hill, including a chief of staff to a senator, and now kind of in the nonprofit space, working on these policies that are all about just trying to make life better for everyday Americans, trying to aspire to a higher ideal. And that can sound corny, but it is what motivates me. I know it's what motivates a lot of your listeners as well. And so even during these, the challenging times, and even when I see our nation kind of backsliding away from our principles, there's still the fight in me, as there is in so many people. And you look, I come from I have led a privileged life here, and I recognize my privilege, and I think that it's important for everybody to stand up, especially on behalf of people who have been marginalized in our society, and help to lift them up. So I'm in the fight for the long haul, and I just appreciate people like you and everyone out there who recognizes that although there are the challenges, the country is strong. We can build a strong democracy. There are ways out there to do it, to make sure that our government and our democracy are responsive and accountable to people. And hopefully, the optimist in me thinks that several years from now, with some hard work, we will be able to take a big stride forward.
Well, I appreciate you as well, Mike, for being with us this morning, but in a greater sense for a couple of things. One, the work that you do and will ongoing be part of your work and your legacy. And I plan on hopefully being a part of that in my little show that we have here. And also, kudos to your pops for kind of giving you that North Star in terms of what he believed and what he saw could be part of your life and the work that you've been doing. So I appreciate you being with us this morning and look forward to having you back in the future.
Thanks so much. I appreciate being on as well, and we'll talk soon.
All right, Mike. Have a great day, and happy 2025. We'll talk soon, man. Be well.
Okay.
All right. Bye now. All right, guys. Mike Sozan, just what a brain. He said I'm kind of nerding out a little bit, but I get where he's coming from, and I appreciate what he had to say. And there's work to be done. He made that clear, and I've said it as many times as I can. There's work to be done. But one of the things that he said, I've said, and it's been part of what we talked about today, is we have to acknowledge that there are issues and then set a path that we can go forward in to get these things done. And so I appreciate Mike being with us this morning, senior fellow at the Center for American Progress Action Fund. If you Google his name, you will see the work that he does and the importance of it. A couple of texts that I want to kind of acknowledge, and I appreciate everybody that's texted me this morning. A couple of people have gotten after me a little bit, so I got big shoulders, and I'm glad that when someone says something that you're not quite cool with, that you put it to me so that we can talk about it. So shout out to you, Nancy, for your commentary about our democracy. Shout out to Texas for what you had to say about third-party voting. I'm with you, guys. Listen, we run at full speed sometimes during the show, so we can't always get everything at the moment that we need to. But I come back and try to do my cleanups on aisle 7. I said before that we know that the vote in this last election skewed toward racism, sexism, misogyny, nationalism, bias, privilege, status quo. We know that probably more than any other election, and certainly in my lifetime. So it's not that, I'm not going to deny any of that, and I'm going to speak to it. And what I saw in this video of the senator's husband and what he did is a representation of that right now. Can we fix our democracy? Absolutely. We have to. We have no choice. Do we have a standing democracy? Yes, we do. Has it been a democracy that's had major flaws and holes in it like Swiss cheese? Absolutely. And do our systems fail us many times, like John from California said? Yes, they do. And that's the challenge. It starts with this, guys. Trust me when I say this. It starts with acknowledging that we have these issues and we have these problems. And then you could say from a positive standpoint, the challenges. It starts there. The country has not ever said that we have these issues. The country has still stayed in that space, and it's comforting for so many people, and it's comforting to be in that privilege. But we've got work to do, and if we don't acknowledge that those things exist, then the work won't get done, and we will, unfortunately, wash, rinse, and repeat. But it's been good being with you guys today. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for texting. Kudos to our guest, Mike Sozan, for being with us from the Center for American Progress. And all you guys that are out there, be safe today. If you're in a cold climate, be smart in your commutes and your travels. And always, take a deep breath. Make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey there, it's Carrie Joy with your Work Money Minute. My savings tip for today is about meal planning. I know you've heard of it, but let's talk about it. Meal planning will save you money, it reduces impulse purchases, it helps you not waste food, and it may be the very best thing you can do to cut back on your weekly spending. It also helps cut back the number of arguments we have in my house about what's for dinner. A writer of a recent Reader's Digest article said that she saved herself $500 a month on meal planning. I mean, we all eat differently, but those are some real savings. I know, meal planning can be a pain. So I reward myself with a treat while I plan. A beer, some ice cream, maybe a recipe